Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to First Cut. This is our spoiler review of John Wick Chapter 4. We're here to break down this movie. My name is Andres. I'm here with RB3. We're super excited to talk about this movie, obviously because we're super late, as you can see from this video, on talking about this movie, but we finally got to it. We're excited to break it down in a spoiler conversation, discussion, whatever you want to call it. We're here to talk about Keanu Reeves' new movie. RB3, right off the bat, you and I saw John Wick 3 together. I know we're both John Wick fans. I know we're big stunt guy fans, action filmmaking fans. How did you feel about John Wick Chapter 4?
Man, this movie was awesome. I mean, they literally found every way and avenue they could step it up. This is a bigger budget. You know, it's funny because Scream 6, they make a joke about, oh, you know, this late in the franchise, you know, the budget's got to get bigger. Things got to get more explosive. You can expect characters to die. And it's like, they kind of make that joke in Scream 6, but that literally is what John Wick 4 was. It's like the quintessential sequel of like bigger budget, more at stake, like bigger villain, multiple villains kind of until the very end. And then building up all the way until, you know, ultimately, spoiler alert, spoiler discussion, we see John Wick, dying at the end, quote unquote dying. We don't really know if that's really how it's going to land, but yeah, it was dope, man. It was dope action cinema. You can't ask for a better action movie than what we got out of John Wick 4.
Yeah, kind of going off that, I feel like everyone's been talking about, at least from the podcast I've heard, their theater experience watching this movie. How was your crowd and how was your personal theater experience?
Well, you know, my crowd wasn't like the most enthusiastic. I did see it. I did see it like, I did see it Friday opening day, but it was like Friday matinee. So it wasn't like too crowded, but it was like pretty filled out, which again, I think is fascinating for John Wick. I was watching these movies. I watched all these movies in theaters. I watched them
Me too. The first one.
First one, it people came out and watched it, but it wasn't like a blockbuster, you know. Same thing with the second one. Third one definitely got more anticipated, Halle Berry. But with this one, even on a Friday, weekday at like 2 p.m., the theater was like mostly filled up. So it's like, whoa, this is actually getting to like some blockbuster, almost like Marvel level kind of event status. But the crowd I was with was dope. It was the big moments, like when he had the shotgun with the
exploding shotgun.
Yeah, people were like, "Whoa, what?" Like, and then things at the end. But you know, I was the biggest reactor. Like, I was the one like, "Yo."
I saw Chapter 3 with you, bro. I remember that.
Yeah. Just seeing the ways dudes get flipped, mollywopped. You know,
you had fun, right?
Yeah. Nah, that's the best part of it. But how's your theater experience?
It was actually kind of lit, and that's surprising, considering that I saw a lot of old people at my screening, which I was kind of shocked by. But I was like, I guess old people can get down with it. But it was still kind of lit. Like, people still cheered, people still got excited, they still screamed out. I feel like you kind of have to with this movie. This movie is meant to be a theater experience. This movie is meant to be a communal experience, if that makes sense, to celebrate it with the group of people and enjoy the crazy scenes and enjoy the twists and turns together and enjoy the action set pieces together as a group of people. So I'm glad that I saw it with a pretty good crowd, and I'm glad that people are enjoying this movie. It made 73 million domestic. I want to talk quickly about how well it did, considering it's a rated R movie. It's basically 3 hours long. And it's the fourth movie in a franchise. It did way better than any of the other movies inside that franchise. Internationally, it actually did pretty well as well. How do you feel box office is feeling right now? Obviously, we had Creed 3, but that's like a much more, PG-13, leaning even more PG kind of film. Whereas this one is a much more R-rated, bloody, violent film that made 73 million domestic. And it's a 3 hour long, non-superhero, non-previous, comic book IP or any kind of IP movie. It's an original IP. How do you feel like this talks about box office right now?
Well, first of all, I will say I do think Creed is. I wouldn't call it close to PG. I would say that's pretty firmly
It's
like.
PG-13, but it's nothing crazy though. There's nothing.
I thought it was R-rated. When I saw it early, I literally
What?
thought it was R-rated. Like
What happens that's R-rated?
because I mean they punching each other out and then they mad cursing. I mean, Fool pulls a gun on Michael B. Jordan at one point. You know what I mean?
Bro, you cannot watch John Wick and say it's the same as Creed 3.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're the same, but I'm saying they are adult movies. They are targeted
Okay.
adult audience. I think
That's fair. That's fair.
that's the biggest thing here is like they're not. These are films that are targeting adult audiences, films that aren't made for families, made for kids, because for example, I'm saying like Ant-Man is definitely trying to get the kids crowd is. I don't know if Creed's trying to get kids in the theater. Same way I don't know if John Wick, obviously John Wick's not trying to.
It's not, no.
But I ain't gonna lie, I've been seeing mad. I think reasons for its success is I think you see mad TikToks, Reels, Instagram, young people, high schoolers who kind of grew up on John Wick, like for a generation, this is their Fast and Furious, so building up to this level, getting to that. So it's a mixture of like, young fans who grew up watching John Wick, old fans who just love Keanu, and then of course, people who love action cinema in general, love the actors involved, like Donnie Yen, the other, all the
God Adkins.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, people go in almost with like an expectation of like, what are we going to see now? There's the spinoffs that they announced, like the Ballerina spinoff, the Continental spinoff, like all these spinoffs that people are excited for. So yeah, people want to see where the story's going to head into this film.
I agree with you on that too. I did notice a couple kids in my screening, and at first I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I was like, I saw The Matrix when I was like 8. That was rated R, right? I mean, The Matrix was an R-rated movie. I don't know if people remember that because obviously watching it now, it doesn't feel like there's anything too crazy going on. The movie was rated R, and I was watching that at 8 years old. So I guess it should be fine. Like, I mean, it's violent, but it's nothing too crazy. So I do feel like a lot of it is the crazy demographic that they have when it comes to such a wide range. But I also feel like the action filmmaking aspect of it is something so powerful. I want to talk about that, RB3. Action filmmaking. This is something that you and I have been talking about for years on First Cut, on the meaning of, on ever since we created our channel. The art of what action filmmaking is and what making these kind of movies is has been going on forever. I mean, obviously, I heard Chad Stahelski talking about Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Jackie Chan. Like,
he makes reference to in John Wick 2, a lot of those references.
Yeah, and in this one too, and in this one for Buster Keaton as well. But I feel like it's an art form. It's an actual art form that people have for many, many, many years, and I would say for the past 20 years, have kind of poo-pooed and kind of pushed to the side. And by people, I mean like high-level industry folk, where I don't feel like they have the level of respect that they should have for this kind of filmmaking. Do you feel like that's changing? And do you feel like John Wick 4 is starting to create, if this is a term we used, what is it called? Elevated horror? Is there such thing as elevated action filmmaking now? And it's not just the cheesy, rent a DVD, crazy, what is it, fake Rambo movies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an actual, it's getting an elevated nature to it, where it's all art.
Yeah, I think I feel like we've been headed towards that place for a minute. I personally would consider the Raid movies.
But to be fair, I'm still surprised, and I don't mean to cut you off because me, I owned the Raid movies and I bought them right away and I saw them years ago, but I'm the biggest fan of those movies and I still think they're incredible. But I still feel like a lot of people who are watching this movie have never seen the Raid. I'm dead ass. Like, I'm kind of shocked that if you go on Twitter, how many people are like ranking all-time action movies in the past 20 years, and they don't even know what the Raid is. They don't list the Raid. And I'm like, how can you write about movies and not watch the Raid? Right. But it's the truth. Like, a lot of people have seen John Wick Chapter 2 20 times, but have never seen the Raid or the Raid 2.
The real fans have seen it.
The real fans, yeah.
And I say that even as somebody like my grandma, right? I was using my grandma as an example, right? She's an OG karate fan. Like, she'll watch all the movies in Chinese with the dubs and all that. She loves the Raid. Like, she'll live and swear and die by the Raid movies. So it's like, I think the hardcore action people are watching, I think that's why the genre gets elevated, because we do have directors like Chad, like David Lynch, who are taking influence from these other forms and just Asian action, cinema in general. I mean, long history. I mean, we talk about, again, OG Chucky Chan, OG Bruce Lee, OG Donnie Yen, like before, the American movies, like all of, Hong Kong cinema, John Woo, all of these things are, have been influencing cinema for a long time, but now directors are starting to embrace that side of it more instead of the traditional, fast cutty. Because there was that moment in the 2000s where we had everything was trying to be like Bourne, everything was trying to be the shaky cam, super quick edits. But now I think people are starting to find, the action cinema from, Asian countries, is really dope. Also, influences from video games. I know there was one. I forgot exactly which video game I saw referenced on Twitter, but there's a video game that inspired the
overhead
shot with
I saw that.
Yeah, so it's like now with the advent of a new look at cinema, new appreciation for foreign cinema with video games, like action is just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I do feel like, but I do feel like there is something there though, because I agree with you when it comes to the fast cutting, crazy, ridiculous nature of it. But also, I feel like a lot of it too has turned into like, and obviously this has been a debate with what is an action film, right? Are superhero movies action films? Does it count if it's like a little animated figure flying around? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I mean it technically, I guess it is, but is it though? Like when it comes to real physical action and not CGI cars flying, no offense to Fast and Furious, but this feels real because it is real, because it is actual stunt performers performing stunts and not just CGI cars, CGI Iron Man, CGI flying figures like Shazam. Like this is real life people. And I feel like that's a different level of action than the stuff we've been seeing for the past 20 years when it comes to franchise filmmaking. And when it comes to actual smaller action films, they're so cheesy and so under budgeted to the point that no one watches them and everyone ignores them. So I do feel like there is something to be said about these films and what it is doing for action filmmaking and what it is doing for the art form in general, elevating it into a nature where it's respected on all levels of filmmaking, score, cinematography, costume design, production design, acting. The acting's really damn good. And this is supposed to be like a ridiculous, crazy, over the top action film. And yet it's not Fast and Furious acting. It's not like the most ridiculous, cheesy lines you're ever going to see. It is some moments, obviously there is some of those moments, but it is some moments also of emotional beats and emotional beats that hit and beats that make you feel like you're watching something special. I don't know, RB3. Am I tripping? Is it that good?
No, you're not tripping. I mean, I think there are some good performances in there. I mean, I think Bill Skarsgård as
I was gonna say he's top of my list, to be honest.
Yeah. No, he's given a great performance. I mean, he's milking it as the villain in this film, and he doesn't really even do that much action himself, which makes it like even more menacing. You know what I mean? Like he's just somebody who's just ordering, taking shots. They blow up the Continental right off rip, and man, shout out my guy, man, Lance Reddick, man.
Yeah.
He was man, it was tough. Watch it. He literally just died like last week. And in the very
such poor timing.
Right. The very first scene is like, bro. That was tough. But yeah, that opening scene was crazy. Also, I'm gonna mispronounce her name. Rina
Sawayama.
Yeah, who plays Akira.
This is on my list, by the way. Let's jump to that. Let's jump to who are the other standouts besides Keanu Reeves inside this movie. We have a ton of side characters. Obviously, Winston is always there and he's supporting. Shout out to Ian McShane. But we also have Scott Adkins as Killa. We have Rina Sawayama as Akira. We have Mr. Nobody, Shamier Anderson with his killer dog.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
We have obviously Shimazu, you mentioned him. We have the henchman Lieutenant Chidi, played by Marko Zaror, who's a Chileno actor who's actually a beast, and you could tell he's a beast in this movie. Kane, obviously Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
And then obviously Bill Skarsgård's character, the Marquis, who stood out the most?
Yeah, nah, I mean, just going back to it, yeah, I thought for one, Donnie Yen, man. I mean,
Donnie Yen.
yeah,
Yeah.
he is
I was
like,
gonna say it's kind of hard to top Donnie Yen.
yeah, I mean, the whole fighting blind thing was just so fire, like just so iconic. And then the way, I don't know, it's just the way him and John had that mutual respect for each other. Like they weren't even really trying to kill each other, even when they were trying to kill each other, like the whole time that one scene when John Wick literally takes out an entire army of goons by himself, literally like a whole SWAT team. He's like alphing them. And then it just comes down to him versus Kane at the very end. Oh, it was just such a funny moment. Like when Kane got up, he was like, he like waved the stick around. He's like, John, are you dead yet? And then John had ran out of bullets, so he can't move a muscle because he's about to hear it. So it's just so good. There's so many iconic moments like that. And then them teaming back up together at the end to climb up those stairs and do the deed to fight. I thought that was just great too. So yeah.
Yeah, Donnie Yen is definitely up there. From everyone else that I named, who else is someone that stood out to you?
I mean, you also mentioned the Mr. Nobody guy.
Shamier Anderson.
Shamier Anderson, yeah.
Yeah.
He was dope, man. I mean, I had no idea where that character was going in the beginning. And in some ways, I still kind of don't know where he's going. Like, I kind of felt like he really didn't really have that much of a purpose, other than of course, getting the money. Like that's really his whole thing. It was just like up in the price. In a little bit of ways, it kind of felt like plot devicey, like he was a plot device, but sometimes a plot device can be well done and well executed, and that's what like I felt like he was. Just the acting, the dog, getting at people, him coming in just like miraculously saving John Wick whenever he needed to. Like I thought, yeah, he was dope too.
I loved his character. To me, he might be the biggest standout for me. Every time he came on screen, I loved him. Partially, the dog helps a lot, but partially, I feel like that actor is really good. I've never seen him before in anything, but
Yeah.
he has like a very intense stare and glaze and kind of nature where you don't really know what he's doing or what he's up to. And he's he's the wild card, right? He's the guy who's like he's on no one's side. He's seeing who the highest bidder is. He'll save John sometimes just to get more money later.
Right.
But then he tries to kill John other times. And it's this kind of wild card X Factor kind of guy. And his style, his like attitude is so like old school. Like this guy's, you don't even know where he's from, mysterious, where he's driving like an old school like Jeep. He's wearing like military style clothes, like old style clothes. It's such an interesting character that I absolutely loved. And I actually think I tweeted about this, but I actually think he can take over the franchise. I think that'd be sick. I think it'd be really cool to see some sort of aspect of him being, whether it's a contract killer, whether someone's out to get him, just being a new character introduced inside this world. I loved him. I thought he was great. I also obviously already mentioned Bill Skarsgård, but to me, I think he's the best villain in the John Wick franchise so far. And I think
better than Common?
Better than who now?
Better than Common?
Oh yeah, better than Common. Even though Common throws hands, he's dope.
And that silent pistol fight they had.
Yeah, that was cool. That's cool. I can't deny that. But to me, Bill Skarsgård's a good villain because he is the kind of hands off, keep my hands clean. I'm a hire bunch of people. I'm the old school gangster, right? Those kind of movies where it's like the guy who just sits on the throne and just points at people to just do their thing, and he just looks like a boss because he's a boss. I loved him. I thought he was so cool. I thought he was so insane and powerful, and every line he had was kind of like a dope line. I don't know if you caught that the first screening, but in my first screening, I don't know how many times you've seen it, but every line he had was kind of a bar. I was like, yo, is this guy spitting?
Yeah.
He was talking about like the blind man will have his daughter. The man who has nothing will be in the streets. The man who fights for his life will be, and he has like the crazy French accent. I was like, this guy's crazy. I love him.
Right. And that, that part of it, it's funny. You're talking about the dialogue. The dialogue definitely stood out to me in this movie more than any of the other John Wicks, because of how
Grandiose.
Grandiose.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's very theatrical.
Yeah. Theatrical is the perfect word for it. They're trying to be theatrical, operatic.
Yes.
Even say in some parts. Yeah, they're really trying to go over the top and really play.
It's great though. It works so well.
Yeah. It works. It definitely works. It took me out a little bit during some parts of it, but I think because they have an actor like Bill Skarsgård who's able to do it a lot better, and Ian McShane as well, who's able to kind of parse through a lot of dialogue as well.
Oh, what's his name?
Laurence Fishburne.
No, the Harbinger. Oh, Laurence Fishburne's also does an incredible. The Harbinger, Clancy Brown.
Yeah, isn't he like a writer or something? Or...
No, he's usually a voice actor. That's where most people know him. He plays Lex in the Superman animated series.
Oh, okay.
But that's the kind of stuff where, yeah, you're right. Where literally the movie opens with that speech that Laurence Fishburne is giving, and it is already over the top and grandiose and insane, and you're just like, whoa, what is this? Is this like a play that I'm watching? But every line is like ridiculous and insane and over the top, but also kind of powerful and beautiful.
Right.
It's like the sun rises, but the moon will always be the one on top. And it's like, okay. And then he runs away. And then it's like, when the knife is in between the heart, the knife in the, like, whatever. It's just like metaphors on top of metaphors. I loved it. I was like, this is crazy.
That literally, that part of it to me was like the part where I was like, this is why he has a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, they really were trying to go for like the artsy fartsy, like you said, it felt like elevated. They're trying to do like an like action movie with like, Shakespearean dialogue and stuff. Which, hey, I'm here for it. If they do it right, like they can't go too cheesy with it and do that with bad actors. They do that the wrong way. That's not going to work. And they also have a good understanding of what the tone of these movies are too, because as much as they're going to get self-serious with the dialogue, the action scenes they're serious, but they're also fun. Like even down to the very end a couple of action scenes that stood out to me. Of course, we already talked about the overhead explosion shotgun fight. And then the end of the stairway, like going all the way up the stairs. Yeah. He literally kicks John Wick all the way back down to the bottom. Oh my gosh, that made me laugh so hard, bro. Like, what? We just watched him.
He just kept rolling, man.
Right. I'm like, dog, stop rolling. I'll grab on something.
I was laughing so hard, man. I think I was the loudest laugher, and I remember because I know you laugh loud too, bro. I usually don't, but that scene was just so laugh out loud. I'm surprised no one else beside me laughed out loud as much as I did. But yeah, let's quickly get to that. I don't mean to jump on top of you, but I actually wrote them out here for action scenes. We have the Osaka hotel super long fight that we see in the beginning. We have the Berlin nightclub, which is the waterfall nightclub fight against that's Killer. That's Scott Adkins' character.
Okay.
The big dude. We have I call it the Frogger fight. I don't know if you saw my tweet about Frogger. You know what Frogger is, bro?
Yeah, where he's like hopping,
dodging cars.
Yeah.
We have the dodging car fight in the middle of Paris. We have the building overhead fight. We saw that, and then we have the stair fight, and then obviously we have two mini one-on-ones, which is Kane versus Shimazu and Kane versus Wick. So rank those for me, RB3. What's the best action set piece there?
I mean, the best to me, the best one that blew my mind, of course, was the overhead shotgun explosion one.
It's so good. Yeah, I started screaming.
They could have just done it like all as one take and like just let it be like its own thing. But it was the fact that they edited in between it and then came back to it, and then it wasn't just like a gimmick. It was actually a storytelling tool. It gave you a whole estimation of like where every character was. Like you followed the whole thing. So I thought that was dope. And then I thought that was dope. And also the fight with Kane and Osaku, is that how you pronounce?
Shimazu.
My bad. That was great too. And that felt great because it was very reminiscent of Symphony for Lady Vengeance. One of those Park Chan-wook masterpieces. Especially with the trees and all of that. So I thought that was really, really well done too. So my least favorite fight though would be the Frogger fight, the one with the cars. Yeah. that was the one thing out of the practicality, out of the practical hand-to-hand combat. Seeing those CGI cars felt a little bit over the top. And also seeing the dog get hit, I'm like, oh no, not the dog. Then he still got up and just kept chirping. I'm like, all right, now does he have a Cavalier suit too? Like, hey, is he indestructible? Is he like a superhuman John Wick being as well? So I don't know.
Yeah, and also there's the Berlin nightclub and the Osaka
Oh,
hotel.
right. With Osaka, I mean, that
one's great.
It's great just because of the length and just seeing John. That's like the opening, you know, seeing John Wick literally take out, like I said, an entire army SWAT team of just goons by himself. That's just great. That's just great in and of itself. The Berlin one was cool too. And I like the lighting in that one a lot.
Yeah.
That the lighting was the definitely the biggest standout of that. Again, I like how all of it's elevated. Like the cinematography is elevated, the budget is elevated. Like the Osaka hotel, that whole set with the multiple glasses, glass, you know,
the museum.
Yeah, the museum that you end up going through. Like you said, the nightclub with the lights, the strobe. You know, even the ending with the stairs, like that staircase. Like for one,
that's
also
crazy.
I also love how when you watch the first few John Wicks, you could definitely tell like, oh, there's just a bunch, there's maybe like 20 or 30 stunt guys, and they're just like recycling them throughout the entire thing. With this one, you could definitely tell they had at least like more stunt guys than usual.
Yeah.
Mad times there's like 50 or 60 people in the frame. You're like, oh crap, like this is nuts. They got like every stunt guy in Hollywood almost. Like,
yeah, that I think they got every stunt guy in the world. I mean, they traveled all over Europe, and apparently they used a lot of stunt guys from French cinema, current French cinema. And obviously they were in Germany too, so they use some European stunt guys there. Yeah, man, I think they got every stunt guy on the planet. Because you're right. What I loved about this movie too is the way it uses stunt filmmaking / action filmmaking buildup. Where if you've watched the Raid movies, or if you watched any kind of like old school action movie, they always have like the face off, or the confrontation, or the measuring tape, I guess is what you can call it, where you see, okay, there's 12 bad guys and they're all in a hallway. This guy's got to get down the hallway. Or there's, 25 bad guys and they're all on the staircase. They all line up and they all pose just so you can like see them.
yeah,
And it looks cool. And you're just like, all right, here we go. And then in the Osaka one, I love the scene where everyone is lined up around him, and the Japanese guys all pull out their swords in unison, like one after another, as if they were like a ballet. I thought that was incredible. Like that kind of stuff to me is like pure action filmmaking cinema. Like it's beautiful, because you have to do it to show the audience what he's up against, the odds, and then you also have to do it because it just looks cool. So I love that. So for me, it would go building fight, overhead shot. I thought that was I was losing my mind watching that. Then it would be the stair fight. I thought the stair fight was incredible. Then probably the Osaka hotel, then the Berlin nightclub, and then at the end probably the car fight. I wasn't a big fan of the car fight, personally. Like you said, just the combination of the CGI and the real didn't really work for me that much. And obviously the one-on-ones were cool too. That's my only little mini gripe, but that's such a little mini gripe that I kind of wish the final fight was a one-on-one, whether it's hand to hand or sword or knife or whatever it is, instead of the old school 1800s, shoot,
yeah.
What is it?
Alexander Hamilton.
John, not what's his face? The guy who shot him, bro.
Leslie Odom Jr.
Yeah.
Alan Burr.
Aaron Burns. Aaron Burr.
Yeah. It wasn't that vibe. That's literally why I looked over at my girl. I'm like, yo, this is some Hamilton vibe. Huh?
Yeah. I was like,
yeah, that's the one part I thought it was gonna, and because I thought they were building up to it was they built up to the one-on-one. I thought it was supposed to be hand-to-hand combat, but I don't know. I guess I don't know if I missed one of the rules that they said towards the end of it.
No, they said dueling pistols.
Dueling pistols. Okay.
Yeah, which I guess they meant like 1800s pistols. I didn't know they meant that. I thought they were gonna do like, I don't know, John Wick. Yeah, like
right.
Get closer to each other, start shooting. But I was kind of, when he said daggers, when homie Bill Skarsgård said daggers, I was like, okay, all right, here we go. This is gonna be crazy.
Right.
And then when he said dueling pistols, I was like, let him lose this one.
Right.
I think it's so much cooler. I mean, think about it. The greatest knife fights in cinema, the Raid 2. incredible, right? That knife fight in the kitchen, knives. There's something about knives that are just so oh. And then the knife fight from the Man from Nowhere, the Korean film.
Oh
Have you seen
yeah,
that
yeah.
one?
Oh yeah. I
That
love
knife fight, bro. Oh my god.
that. Yeah.
That goes hard. So I kind of wish it was like a knife fight or a sword fight or
I,
something.
not gonna lie. A great knife fight is actually Captain America.
Oh
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
soldier. When they're on the free or on a highway and Bucky's doing the little knife tricks and doing that. That's actually like a surprisingly good knife fight too.
Yeah.
That yeah, you're right though. Yeah, I definitely thought it was gonna end like with a knife or one-on-one. But you know, seeing the dueling was cool because I like the fake out that happens with the
That's why they wrote it like that. Yeah. It
yeah,
works.
yeah. It makes that fake out even much more satisfying. It's funny too, seeing I don't really know how the rules of this higher society thing works because how did the dude how did homeboy with the dog like get all the way to the top too and was just able to watch like casually and
I
nobody
think it's because there was more important. I was thinking about that too, but then I was like, I guess there's more important. He's more worried about John Wick right now.
right,
But
right.
yeah,
I feel that. Yeah, but no, it was man. Yeah, I liked it. I like the one-on-ones. You know, they have that post-credit scene towards the end, you know, going back to Akira. We see her, you know, kind of building up towards the end. I'm kind of wondering if she could like be another avenue that the franchise could take forward too, because now she has a full revenge story against Kane. Now
that's my next question. Where does John Wick go from here? If this is the last time we see Keanu Reeves as John Wick, where does the franchise go without John Wick?
mm, yeah, I mean, I would again, I want to see those I want to see Akira, you know,
Yeah,
I want to see the guy, the tracker,
yeah.
you know, Mr. Nobody. I definitely want to see Halle Berry come back in the future installment. That was low-key the one thing I'm like, man, I wish they got so many amazing cast members in this movie. Just give me Halle Berry in this.
Am I the only one who made a connection between those two characters? Like maybe he's from the same group, or maybe he's like an old friend of hers
It's the dogs, right?
because of the dog. Yeah,
Yeah. That's why I was kind of wondering about that too. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. Maybe that is, you know, maybe that'd be really cool. I mean, that'd be a
yeah.
really cool way to bring the world together.
Maybe they're like relatives or like something. There's something there.
Yeah, no, I'll be here for that. I'm here for that. I'll be here for Akira. You know, again,
Me
I know
too.
they announced the ballerina spinoff with Ana de Armas
Yeah.
that we got introduced to in the previous films. But yeah, I want to see more. Like I just want to see, you know, it's funny. I was thinking about Luke Cage the other day and Iron Fist and how Iron Fist was kind of setting up for Homegirl to be the new
Yeah.
Iron Fist, but they never really saw it through to the end. I would love to see that. I would love to see the new John Wick become like Akira, like that unspeakable legend that like is just murdering folks. I'd like to see her graduate into that spot.
Yeah, that's my thing, man. Don't be afraid. My thing for the franchise, like whatever they decide to do, don't be afraid to go with it, to go with these new characters. I don't want them to feel like just because it's not Keanu, even though Keanu to me, I mean, bro, it goes all the way back for me, right? I've been seeing Keanu Reeves forever, growing up with his movies. But for me, it's also the world, and I feel like you can build out this world, you can build out these characters and give these other actors a shot. Make it Akira versus Donnie Yen. Make it Akira teaming up with Shamier's tracker character, and maybe Halle Berry comes back that way and they have that connection. Just keep going. Let's see the rest of the table. Like we met like one or two members of the table. Let's see some other members. Let's see like the, I don't know, South American table. Let's see the uh you know, I don't know, Chinese table. Like let's see some other globe trotting old school action villains and characters and moments, without any fear of being like, oh, well, the movie's not John Wick anymore. It sucks. Like, no, 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 no. It could still be dope with these other characters. So that would be my thing for sure. I think it needs to go on. It has to, man. This is too cool to not
Mhm.
keep going.
Yeah, no,
So,
I agree. I think they're fine. They found a stride. They found a new lane for action movies, and you know, I think, like you said, there's definitely a market for these kinds of films because you know, this goes without saying. You know, everybody on Twitter has been talking about it. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania didn't perform as well. Shazam not performing as well. You know, I think people want to see less of the
Something else.
guy fighting, you know, kind of big, you know, beam in the sky. People don't want to see that as much anymore. People want to see the intimate, you know, more impactful action movies. So
yeah, Creed 3 is also a good example because it's still a one-on-one boxing fight, and boxing's still, you know, fighting in martial arts. So
yeah,
it definitely counts. So I agree. I feel like people still want to see, there's something about seeing real physical performers doing their physical stunts. Like this is something that's old school. As I said before, it goes all the way back to the beginning of cinema. So I do feel like it's important to keep doing these, if that makes sense. Even though the word important is such a strong word, I do feel like that because it's such a different art form that people are starting to kind of throw under the rug and forget about. But I feel like John Wick movies uh kill it. They just kill it, man. I think it's awesome, and it helps that it's someone like Keanu Reeves leading the franchise. But again, I could see someone like Akira or someone like Tracker Nobody doing it as well. So before we take off RB3, favorite John Wick movie is
I still might go with John Wick 2 for me. Like I still have a very specific, I think I've said the story before, but I saw John Wick 2 way early, like when they were literally like still filming parts of it. There's so much so where like the fight when Keanu goes into the subway and has that knife fight with Common. Literally at the screening, they just put a title card that says to be filmed knife fight, and then he comes out like all struggling and stuff. But even seeing it in like a barely complete like 50% form, I loved it and thought it was phenomenal. And then seeing the final product, I loved it even more. So John Wick 2 is always still going to be my favorite, but John Wick 4 is like definitely up there.
I'm with you 100%. It's hard. I have to see it again because I do feel like John Wick 2 to me, I think a lot of people forget how good that was. I've seen people put it at the bottom. But for me, it's like remember the hallway inside the hallway inside the club or something like that. I forget what it was, or the tunnels.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like every corner was like a different bad guy, and the camera would go to corners. He would go corner, and he would take people out. I thought that was sick. And obviously, you already mentioned the comic stuff. I thought that was dope as well. I liked it better than the third one for sure. So it'd definitely be 2 or 4 for me. I thought 1 was pretty good, but it definitely is just an introductory one for me.
2 and 4 are definitely the best made ones. One is a very good, like you said, good introduction, and it's so simple. Like it's such a good way to get somebody into the franchise. Like it's just a dude whose dog dies. Like that's literally the best hook. I do want to say though, the way they expand the continental mythology in each movie, I think is getting better and better. The fact that the Osaka Hotel they're not using guns, they're using like ninja stars and nunchucks. I didn't even say that. The nunchuck fight was honestly the Kane using the nunchucks. Was it Kane or was it
It
that was
was
John Wick?
that was John Wick. Yeah.
Yeah. John Wick using the nunchucks, like just going ham on fools, and he'll be hitting them over and over again. I'm like, man, this is funny. And so yeah, shout out to that. And again, like you said, like Creed, Creed embraced the anime culture and embraced being anime. This movie embraced a lot of Asian cinema, Asian action films. Embrace that. Filmmakers, don't be afraid to embrace other cultures and embrace other forms of cinema to make good action movies, because it's paying off.
It really is. And I feel like a lot of people should be paying attention to that for sure. And also, as I said before, the respect for this kind of filmmaking should also be up there. I know a lot of people have been tweeting about the possibility of eventually having stunts at the Oscars or some sort of stunt recognition for performers. I do feel like that is necessary. Considering how much work they put in and considering they're a part of almost every single project. Even if it's like a small drama you're watching, you don't realize that that guy who just, I don't know, fell down 2 flights of stairs, that actually takes some work, and it takes, hard work, or a car swinging around before hitting someone or not hitting someone. That's stunt work. That's a lot of work as well. So I do feel like I come from, this is my background, right? RB3, that the short films I've shot have had stunt performers, and my brother has worked with the guys from 8711, which is the guys that do these movies. I've worked with those guys a few times, and you don't realize how much of an art form it is. It really is. And this is something I grew up with. It's something my brother introduced me to ever since I was a little kid, watching Bruce Lee and watching Jackie Chan. So Shout out to that. Also, real quick, did you see my my spoilers without context tweet? I saw you like it.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
I said Frogger. I said Kane is Stick from Daredevil. He's literally Stick.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how Chad Stahelski is like, he's a guy who's blind and he has a cane and his name is Kane. And I was like, yo, it's over. That's literally how he pitched it in my head. And also, as soon as I saw the stairs, I literally thought of the Hulk. I was like, so many stairs! Like, I literally yelled it out.
Come along, children. Now we're going to
I
have
thought
some
of that
music.
scene, so I thought that was funny. But either way, those were our thoughts on John Wick Chapter 4. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. What is your John Wick ranking? Who was the biggest standout in this film besides Keanu Reeves? Where would you want the franchise to go? All those questions down in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Right here to First Cut. Also follow us at First Cut TMO, and you can follow me at Squadly Race RB3. Where can they follow you?
You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3.
By the way, guys, for John Wick Chapter 4 and for the First Cut crew, we're going to be peacing out, so deuces.
It's either me or you. It's either me or you.